Hello and welcome to this edition of Business Now here on Zodiak. My name is Alex Banda. I'm glad you're there. Coming up in the program, Illovo Sugar Company posts 6.6 billion quarter profit, representing 30% hike in 2022. A tax expert asks government to review the current wage bill and the tax-free band. We have these and many more. Please do stick around. In the midst of the power challenges in the country, which have greatly affected the private sector in the country, which last year was accounting about 450 billion spent on alternative energy, Eskom says it has brought two ways to bring about 9 megawatts to the power grid. Now, Eskom says this will be channeled to essentials like the private sector and other public uses. Now, this is to much appreciation of the private sector, but let's hear more from Eskom's Senior Manager for Commercial and Customer Services, Mr. Wiseman Kabwazi, who explains more on this initiative.
Demand-side management is a process of managing customer demand using customers. There are two ways of meeting the demand in the electricity industry. You can meet the demand by investing in generation. You can also meet the demand by also managing the demand. In Malawi, we have two peak periods. Morning peak from 7 up to 12, evening peak from 5 up to 8 p.m. The demand is so high. This is why you have a lot of load shedding. So while waiting for the investment in new generation, we manage the demand by encouraging customers to shift production or usage of electricity to the off-peak hours where we have a lot of spare capacity, or we bring in technologies that will reduce the usage for electricity so that the demand should be low. There shouldn't be a lot of load shedding. These tubes, what they are going to do is they will reduce the demand for electricity by 9 megawatts. In that regard, it will also reduce the levels of load shedding. When you have demand-side management, you are targeting the times that the demand is so high. The first option would have been to put up new power stations, hydro, whatever power stations. The challenge you have is because the peak periods is very short, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours in the evening. The question is, would you put up a power station that only operates for this short period? Because that investments, the plant doesn't, you have to pay it through the tariff. Regardless whether it only operates for 2, 3 hours, you still have to pay for it. So what you do is you manage the demand, you reduce the demand while encouraging the country to invest into generation, which runs for a longer period. So you reduce the investment in generation plant during peak, which means you also keep the tariff, electricity tariff lower, because you have minimized that investment. You have done without that investment.
Energy Minister Ibrahim Matola has buttressed this idea, saying these initiatives will help to conserve energy and increase electricity access to the private sector.
Whatever has been generated, even with the independent power producers, as a country, we have a policy, an open policy that the independent power producers can come in so that they can add what can be added into the grid. But also there are other initiatives which are taking place off-grids, solar off-grids, and also hydro, which is off-grid. If you can go to Mulanje, Cedar, these are the initiatives also which we are trying to do in order to serve the Malawians and also to serve those who are looking for energy.
Well, meanwhile, as Malawi continues to face energy and housing challenges, Old Mutual has unveiled plans to invest in affordable housing and energy, as well as transport. The company's managing director for investment, Mike Migwamba, told Business Now that The company is exploring investment opportunities with the hope that they will come up with the finer details of all the three sectors. That's transport, energy, as well as housing by the end of this year. Let's hear from Old Mutual's Managing Director for Investment, Mark Migwamba.
So we started our investment journey a few years back, and Gala is just one of the investments that we have made, as well as the Kuhe student accommodation. I think we are proud that so far, if we combine the investments we have made into these two areas, we are talking about over 20 million US dollars equivalent. So if you look at the Malawi 2063 blueprint, and in fact, in the economy, the things that you talk about first is food. For as long as we continue to exist, we are going to continue to eat. So agriculture is key. The second is you need a very educated population. So we selected these two to try to support economic growth. So our participation in the student accommodation means that we were able to help students to really learn things in a very convenient environment so that they can be better leaders in the future. On the agricultural side, I think the key thing for us is also to try to be self-reliant and play our part in that, especially as we know now foreign exchange is an issue that needs to be addressed. And as a private sector, we believe that if we invest in sectors like macadamia with export-oriented, we'll be able to participate in forex generation and make sure that there's sustainability in the economy going forward. We are in a very privileged position. In the two investments that we have made in the agricultural sector, directly or recently, a combined employment is around 2,000. But we are providing opportunities to families through outgrower schemes. And the combined numbers is around 6,000. And if you make an estimate of an average household of 5 people and 6,000, it means we're making an impact to over 30,000 Malawians, which is not a small impact at all.
The Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA, says Malawians are being duped 120 million kwacha every year through fraudulent mobile money transfers and, of course, bank transactions. These are electronic transactions. This money could otherwise be used by small and medium enterprises that are usually the victims of these fraudulent transactions and, of course, other Malawians, summing up to 120 million kwacha every year. Let's hear from the MACRA Director General, Daud Suleiman.
Mobile money fraud has been on the increase in the country due to the penetration of these services. The service providers have reached all corners of the country, and now both urban and rural people are able to access mobile money services. That has also created an opportunity for cyber criminals who have latched on into that growth, and they are able to trick unsuspecting mobile money users into either performing a transaction or making a transfer of their funds to unknown destinations, in the process losing that money. This is coming in because mobile money is just a new service that is just coming into the country, and as expected, there is a lot of awareness and user sensitization so that we can build enough awareness around this service so that we can protect people and their money.
Meanwhile, while all this money is being lost through fraudulent transactions, banks and, of course, telecommunication companies have been advised to adopt a more advanced secure system called Aruba. This is an edge service platform as a new norm in the digital transformation in this toughest regulatory environment. Now, we speak to Banda Computer Services Managing Director. He is Mr. James Chimwaza, who is advancing the idea that banks and, of course, telecommunication companies should adopt this edge through Aruba.
The needs out there in the market is the way in which the working style has evolved over the past 3 to 4 years, where there is distribution of areas where work is conducted, but there's also the pulling together of information. And that data now, though unstructured, there's the capability of analyzing that data and deriving meaning out of it and inform decisions that can be made. So it's a question of as you pull this information together, it's got to be relevant to the source and relevant to the target. And because the development of technology has been such, it has been important to inform the service providers like the banking sector in this case on what they can achieve to address the needs of their customers and what technology is there to offer today. And based on that, they can pick what suits them. And also we are informing that some of the solutions, the foundations or the baseline for the solution, they may already have it. So it's just add-ons that they need to address. We see that the need is there, but we also see clear areas in Aruba technology in a sense that there is wired and wireless technology that is available. So you can have wired and also wireless technology, and then the management is Aruba Central. So from the edge, from Internet of Things like the cell phone, all the way to the cloud and the data centers, the language is the same. So it's, and then within it, there's inbuilt security at different levels. So the security and risk issues that the banks need to be addressed are accommodated, but also that same understanding that it transits from the Internet of Things all the way to the cloud is also there. So we think they can pick and choose from what we already are able to offer with Aruba.
Now, John Mitchell is National Bank's Head of Information Technology Division and says Aruba will improve customer service efficiency and, of course, boost the operating uptime. Let's hear from John Mitchell.
We've been introduced to the Aruba technology, the latest technologies they're offering. And my take home is we are already using Aruba network devices, maybe a generation earlier. But with what we've noticed here is there's more we can do with even existing equipment. But even going forward, we look to optimizing our investments in the network space to integrate the various areas, monitoring of our workspaces, the general network, providing pathways for applications, improving our security, IT security, information security, monitoring the environments, as well as the use of AI. I think just looking at those use cases, they are very exciting, and they will definitely go a long way in optimizing our usage of the latest technologies and the digitalization of our workspaces and infrastructure. Definitely improved uptime. That's the most important thing to the external customer. As you may have heard during the thing, banks which are using the Aruba technology, they are talking of reduced network downtime. Definitely the customers will be able to enjoy.
Now, we also have views from the telecommunication companies.
The webinar that has just taken place, from the company perspective, is a very welcome development where our company will actually need to leverage upon. We've got our strategy, which talks about digitalizing most of the items in Malawi. So the coming in of Aruba and the presentation that has been presented here is actually in line of what we want to offer to the country at large. It is a platform that has actually been welcomed in the country as well as to an organization like Open Connect Limited, such that what has impressed more is on the cost reduction in terms of the business model that the organizations are supposed to embrace in the country, because it is an OPEX model which actually looks at how business are doing in terms of not engaging more into the CAPEX. So it is on the OPEX model that is leveraged on that.
Well, this month of February, the National Assembly will be meeting to discuss several issues. Now, while the members of parliament are set to meet and, of course, discuss the national budget in the 2023-2024, a tax expert, Kelvin Mpande, is suggesting that government should balance its books and, of course, look at the challenges that Malawians are facing through the devaluation of the local currency. He is of the view that the tax-free band needs to be reviewed to cushion the pressures, the economic hardships that Malawians are going through, and of course, there is need to review the tax band.
We all know that the source of income of the government is tax money. So the main focus should be how are they going to collect more money. As we always know that we always have a deficit. So the main focus should be how are they going to collect more money to counter all the budget allocation. We have always had deficits when it comes to budget. So the main focus should be how government is going to collect money. How government is going to collect more money to fulfill their budget. So the main focus should be to be serious when it comes to dealing with issues to do with corruption. You know, many people are reluctant to pay taxes because they are aware that the tax money they are being stolen by politicians. So if they will be serious handling these issues, people will be interested to comply. At the end of the day, MRA will be collecting a lot of money. They also need to come up with policies that will attract investors. When the investors are in, they will come with forex, they will invest, they will employ Malawians. You see, so those Malawians will also be paying tax, pay as you earn from work. When they make profit, they're going to pay more income tax to the MRA. When they register with VAT, they're going to be paying VAT on monthly basis. So you know that it will improve the economy. You know, when you receive that money, you go out there in Intendile, you go to salon, you spend some. The economy that will really improve the economy. They also need to do with the issues to do with tax rates. This has been a problem from way back in the sense that they think that charging more, they will end up collecting more money, which is not true. What they have to do is to make the tax rates flexible. When they make the tax rates flexible, people will be interested to comply because majority of the businesses are running out from taxes because the tax are exorbitant. So when they flex them, people will be interested to come in and comply.
Ilofo Sugar Company has posted a profit hike of 30% from 20.6 billion kwacha to 26.6 billion in the year 2022. Ilofo Sugar Company's managing director, Legani Gatandura, says that they have accumulated the 6.6 billion kwacha through domestic sales. You remember in the previous year, there were climatic shocks and the company says these affected their sugar exports and the tonnage reduced from 279 to 230,000 tons. Gatandura says that they hope to resume these exports soon so that they should contribute to the much needed forex in the country. Let's hear from Gatandura.
So the highlights from that session were that our profitability improved over the previous year by around 30%, from 20.5 billion to 26.6 billion kwacha. And that was on the back of improved total revenue of 14%, which was achieved despite significant reduction in total production, which fell from 279,000 tons to 230,000 tons. The improvement came on the back of much higher domestic sales within the country, and that in turn helped us to reduce our total net debt position. So as a business, in terms of the domestic sales, the amount of sugar we sell locally in the country, it went up from 173,000 tons to 214,000 tons, which enabled us to move from a company with a net debt position to a net cash position. And on the basis of that performance, we have continued to reward our shareholders with good improvements in dividends. You might recall in 2020 our total dividend was 1.4 billion kwacha. Then in 2021 it was 12.8 billion kwacha. For the year 2022, our total dividend is going to be just under 15 billion kwacha. So that shows that our business continues to perform well and make progress going forward. And also in the domestic market, we continue to reach out to more and more consumers that previously had challenges accessing sugar. Hence the improvement in total sales in Malawi from 173,000 tons to 214,000 tons over the same period.
To something different, a young entrepreneur, Mike Williams Muhone, has asked government to support their business exploits and ideas if the country is to achieve the aspirations of the Agenda 2063. Youths are one of the pillars that could help the country achieve its aspirations to be a middle-income country. Muhone has recently invested 150 million kwacha in his freight business under the name Universal Freight Solutions. He shares his business strategy.
On the first place, I wanted to thank God because we had a vision. And that vision, when we were opening up the freight forwarding, we said by the end of a certain period of time, we need to have our own place and our own warehouse and our own offices. Now, here we are. We have launched this place, which is another milestone for the future in the freight forwarding industry. In my speech, I also mentioned about the Malawi 2063, in the sense that as a country, we are youthful young man. We are looking to say, how can we create the job opportunities to the young people? As we are, if you recall, there is the element where I wanted to have finance independence as a nation. So as we are doing business in Malawi, it means we are going to do the development in Malawi, which will also help for the government of the day. So that's why we also indicated about the Malawi 2063. As the youth, we have got a role to play from now until before even 2063. On the first place, I would say the business has been up and downs. I'll give an example of the COVID-19. In our business, we rely mostly on the imports and exports. However, with not the movements, even the lack of containers that customers load so that we move from one place to another, we have not able to do it. The second issue is about the forex issue. Has also affected our clients because by the end of the day, they are not importing because they don't have a forex and they should pay their suppliers. So the business is up and down, but we thank God. Here we are. We have launched our new offices with whatever we have launched today. Now we operate to all countries where people import, or if somebody wants to import. So we've got all over the world. Wherever we had one of the other business that we did with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was engaged at one time where we moved all the diplomats from all the missions. So it means we have got that element of doing business all over the world. My message out there is to say let's either the government and non-government organization, let's support the visions of the youth. Because in actual sense, the youth are not leaders of tomorrow. They are leaders of today. If we don't groom them today, they can't achieve the Malawi 2063 that we are dreaming as a country.
Now, Tata Malawi representative Funani Seyan was one of the representative at the unveiling of this new facility. And he says the setting up of this particular facility will instill confidence in Universal Freight Solutions clientele.
Well, they've been absolutely fantastic. Yeah, we've been with them for a couple of years now, since 2016. Before Tata Zambia Limited came through, we were working with the previous company. From 2016 to now, it has been very, very, very fantastic. These guys are professionals. They know what they are doing. In terms of imports, exports, you talk of warehousing, anything you can say in the clearing business. They're just absolutely fantastic.
This is where we've come to the very end of this edition of Business Now here on Zodiac. I have been Alex Banda. On behalf of the crew, it's thank you so much and goodbye.